Looking for one place to find all the gear you need? Then Ballard-Inc.com is what you've been looking for. With over 30 years in the industry and 22 years selling high-quality products, we've got you covered. From mower gear, trailer racks, mower blades, safety gear, and more, you'll find everything you need to maximize your efforts and protect your gear in one place. We are constantly bringing you new products to make you effective, efficient, safe, and profitable. Make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at checkout. We've made our website even better and easier to use, so head over to Ballard-Inc.com today and gear up. We appreciate the support and hope you have a great season.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. All right, well, we are off to the races today. I got another great guest interview lined up from you guys. We actually have a really cool guest on line one, and that's a returning guest from good old STA-BIL. We've got Jon Reynolds joining us. Jon, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing well. How are you, Brian?
Living the dream, brother. We are just out there mowing grass, making that cash, and just struggling to get all the work done, dodging raindrops and really dodging the heat. Man, it's been a warm couple of weeks up here in the Midwest. You're over in Chicagoland area, correct?
Yep, we're just right outside downtown Chicago, right near Midway Airport. So we've been there since 1932.
Wow, dang. Okay, so how's the weather over there treating you guys? That's what we do in the Midwest. We talk about the weather, so.
Yeah, similar weather. Some days it's raining. Next day it's really hot. And then typical Chicago weather, once it gets cold, you never know when it's going to snow. So, yeah, it's just weather's unpredictable. So I can see where you guys kind of have the same thing, kind of get more lake effect in the winter.
Yeah, we normally get the day after what you guys get. So it's funny watching a system come from, Minnesota, Wisconsin, southeast, or something will come from the Midwest and kind of arc and round, through Chicago or even Indiana, that's kind of a same boat that we're in. So yeah, it's been hot, man. But you know what? We're trying to just power through dog days of summer, just like so many of you guys. And it's been a productive and fun, but we're earning every dollar. I'll tell you that. It's been a long 6 weeks with this heat. And so many of you guys are dealing with drought, heat. I totally get it. We're dealing with the same stuff you guys are. But when it's 100 degrees out, at least I got my podcast to keep me steady and, just one foot in front of the other, they always say. Amen. So that's the stuff right there. So, Jon, let me do this real quick. For a bunch of guests that maybe haven't listened to the show in a while, we actually had you on, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but it's been a minute since we had you on last. So why don't you get these guys up to speed about who you are, what you do at STA-BIL, and we'll kind of get into it.
Yeah. So my name is Jon Reynolds. I am the STA-BIL brand social media manager. So manage TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So kind of commenting, sharing, seeing what you guys are up to. So yeah, anything you want to comment, send us a message. I'm resharing. If you tag us, we love that. Love to reshare, help each other out. So that's pretty much what I do on a daily basis. I'm also a part of our content team. So a lot of the stuff we do is pretty much all in-house. We shot a couple documentaries this summer. And then we do our commercials as well. So if you see any of those on any websites or YouTube or even on TV, we've been doing those all ourselves. And then fun fact, I am our drone operator as well, which is kind of the fun part of the job.
Right. So,
yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I've been here about coming up on 7 years now. Before that, I worked for another outdoor power equipment company known as MTD Products, which is Troy-built Cub Cadet equipment. And then before that, I actually had my own lawn and landscape company growing up when I was 12. So, seeing the Launchpreneur kind of series going on with all these young entrepreneurs is pretty cool to see, because I kind of went through the same thing, and it's exciting to see them grow and kind of get equipment, see where they start out, and then it's amazing to see where they end up with decked out trailers, the big zero turns, all the fun stuff that you get to have fun with and make some cash.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. Well, I was just going to say the same thing. I wanted to say a big thank you to STA-BIL for sponsoring the summer series here that we're doing, calling the Lawntrepreneur series, which is we're interviewing 6 young guns that I know of, and friends and buddies of mine, if you will, across the state, and actually Chicagoland area, with Christian over there, and it's really one of those things where I reached out to just a couple quick companies and I said, hey, kind of a tour here I'm putting together here really quickly. And it's different because, it's not a 25 or 35-year-old individual. It's teenagers. It's underage. They're 18 and under. So every company is different. I reached out to some companies. They're like, well, our products aren't geared for the teenager. They're geared for professionals. And I'm like, okay, respectfully, these are professionals, and this is the future of your company and your consumer. And so some companies got it, some companies didn't get it, which I thought was kind of peculiar. But I think, John, you were actually the first one to jump on board. I said, hey, we're doing the series. I think this would be awesome to have you guys a part of. You said, let me think about it. Give me a day or two, and ran it through the brass, and you guys jumped right on board. And I'll tell you what, man, I really appreciate that support because, as you guys know, plane tickets aren't cheap, hotels aren't cheap, gas money, time away from the business, all this other stuff. We're producing content. It takes a bunch of time and effort. But I really appreciate STA-BIL, Equip and Echo, for that point as well, jumping on board. John, I'll tell you what, I don't know if you've been able to watch a couple of the videos that we've done. We've released 2 or 3 at this point by the time you and I are recording this here for a timestamp. But at the end of every video, I've been doing the little reveal. Echo sent a handheld leaf blower, which was awesome. And these were like just gifts and swag, that I'm giving to these guys for participating and, trying to make it worth their time, right? And you sent these like 6 different swag bags, one for each participant, and none of them knew that I was hooking them up with anything. And just to see like the excitement, it was unexpected, just to see how pumped they were to get some product in their hand and just some gifts. Who doesn't like a gift of whatever, it's always fun to get something. All these young guys are just pumped. They're like, man, half of them have used STA-BIL, the other half hasn't, which is awesome. So the guys that use it love it. And then the guys that haven't used it yet, they're excited about putting it through the ringer, with their small business, man. So I just got to say a big thank you to you and to coordinating all that, and the rest of the team. Just make sure that they know back at the mothership that we really appreciate you guys supporting these young guys out there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Most people know us for our red storage. That's the original product that's been around since 1958. And as the brand evolved throughout the years, we've expanded outside the fuel tank. So we have other products such as a rust stopper, fogging oil. We have diesel products as well, which many don't realize that we make. So if you have any diesel equipment, we have an all-season, a winter, and a power boost.
Okay.
For your cetane. And then a couple other new ones we have is the ceramic Pro Guard, which you can use on mowers and snow blowers, help prevent that rust and any buildup. And then we have a blade guard that came out, which is doing very well for your hedge trimmers, any of those shears, some 2-cycle oil, small engine pro. So yeah, we have a bunch of different products that we're constantly coming out trying to help the professional, but also the average homeowner, because everyone's got some type of piece of equipment. So our saying is there's no off season. So once mowing season's done, you put that equipment away, and then you got your fall equipment. Once that's done, you put that away, and then wintertime comes around. So we got to make sure it's stored right. And then if it comes out of storage and it's running rough or needs some fixing, we got a couple aerosols, carbon choke cleaner, starting fluid to help that out. So we kind of got an entire catalog to help solve those problems. And yeah, we appreciate being able to help out with this series to kind of help educate and follow along these kids' journeys.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, one thing that you did leave out of all the swag bags was the gun CLP, by the way. So it's which would make sense. Of course, we don't want to be providing that maybe for the 16, 15-year-old crowd. But I have my gun safe here next to me in my bedroom, and I've got one or two bottles I know in there of the gun CLP, and then I have some in the locker as well, just some extra bottles. But yeah, I mean, you guys have almost something for everything. You know what I mean? Every application. You guys have stuff for, if people don't know the STA-BIL line, I don't want it to be a huge, STA-BIL pitch, but nonetheless, like, you guys make great product. I think everybody, well, I'll take that back. It's interesting. Not everybody knows of STA-BIL, which I would, believe personally was like a household name brand, like Heinz ketchup and, whatever else, right? Miracle Whip, maybe that's food, but we're talking automotive wise. Like, I thought everybody knew Milwaukee, DeWalt, and then, STA-BIL. And you guys have done a great job, permeating the marketplace, but a lot of people don't even know, the product line, or that you should be stabilizing your equipment, So, John, let me throw it back to you. Talking about the different categories you guys are in, and then what is the claim to fame to the STA-BIL, the red that we all know? What does that do for somebody with their equipment?
Yeah. So the different verticals that we're in outdoor power equipment, of course. We're in automotive. We're in the diesel market, the marine industry, power sports. And we also kind of got into, like you mentioned earlier, the firearms. And we also got into the bicycle industry. So we have a couple bicycle products that we've recently launched. But yeah, the claim to fame to one is the red storage. So just talking to people, I say, hey, are you familiar with STA-BIL? And they're like, yeah, I use it all the time. And I was like, which one? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, we have tons of different products. And they're like, the red one. So the red storage, that one is for long-term storage. So that'll keep fuel up fresh up to 2 years. 1 ounce treats 2.5 gallons. And then once you jump up into our 360 line, there's two different options: 360 protection, which is an amber color, and 360 marine, which is a blue color. Those two have a higher treat rate, and they will also have fuel system cleaners in it, and it will stabilize your fuel for a year, but it's got more of that ethanol protection in it.
Okay.
So it's more of like an everyday use. So it's, to break it down, if you're looking for storage, use the red. If you're looking for every other fill up kind of in season use, I would switch to the 360 protection. That's 1 ounce per 5 gallons. And then the marine's 1 ounce per 10. So if you're going through a lot of fuel, you can certainly use the marine product in any of your equipment, and then even just add some into your gas cans. So then when you treat your equipment or your car, it's already treated. So it's kind of like cheap insurance, as we say.
Yeah, that's actually one of my questions I get all the time is like, what's the gold for? What's the which is the amber color with the 360? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm learning too, and it's funny. I don't have it all figured out. I'm always learning every day. And you sent me a box of one of everything almost about last year. And so I've been, learning the different product. We used all the fogging oil which is like an aerosol. We use that in all of our cylinders for storage for winter. So that was the first time I did that. Let me ask you this. Some people ask me, hey, do I still need to use a 50-to-1 mix for my 2-stroke, right? Or can I just use STA-BIL? Is this something that are we adding STA-BIL, or like the 360 protection once every 5 gallons? Are we adding that to the 2-stroke mix as well as a 50-to-1 oil pack? Or is it one or the other? Like, are we being redundant here?
Nope. So we have, you can certainly add a fuel stabilizer to 2-cycle. We do have a 2-cycle with the fuel stabilizer in there already, so it kind of eliminates the 2-step process. But yeah, you can certainly add STA-BIL to the 2-stroke mix just to make sure that fuel is treated and good to go for the year.
Okay, so an extra little splash goes a long way, is what you're saying.
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome. And let me ask you this. Another thing, and I know this might be kind of repeat for some of you guys, or we maybe you've heard this from John when he was on a year or two ago. But Jen, talk to me for those maybe who don't know. Maybe they're new in the business. Maybe they're just getting started in the industry, and it doesn't even have to be just lawn care landscaping. But anybody who's using equipment of any type, talk to me if you don't mind, because this is your expertise. The whole timeline of fuel, like why do we need to stabilize something? What do you mean our fuel is breaking down, or what's the prohibiting reason that the equipment's not starting up when we quote unquote do a cold start, to get our equipment ready? And it's not just February or March, right? For lawnmowers, it's your snowblowers. Why aren't they starting up in September, October when we're getting them, prepped for the winter season? What's the issue going on with the fuel, and why is stable so important?
Yeah, so by the time the gas goes from the refinery to the gas station and then to your gas can or your vehicle, the gas will start to break down after 30 days. They do put some detergents in there, but it does not last that long. And a lot of the times when they fill up the tanks to go to the gas station, a lot of it's like a splash blend. So they'll fill it all up and then they'll add it in. And as it's going to the gas station, it's kind of mixing. And then when that fuel goes into the gas station, we always tell people to go to gas stations that are busy, because you don't know how long that fuel is going to be sitting in the ground. So there's ethanol fuel and non-ethanol blended fuel. Non-ethanol blended fuel will last longer, but you can still use a fuel stabilizer. It's got the fuel system cleaners too, but with ethanol fuel, which it does, it actually draws moisture out of the air. So that moisture will settle to the bottom of your fuel tank. So as you try to crank the engine, it's almost burning all the water. And that's where you get kind of those issues starting, or it's like sputtering or running rough. And then with water comes rust and corrosion. So the longer it sits there, the more damage it could do. So yeah, we always say go to a busy gas station to make sure that fuel is constantly being turned over. And then as quickly as you can, when you can add stable before or after you fill up, it doesn't matter. It'll all mix together. And yeah, that'll help you keep those engines running its best.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. I know it might be redundant for some of you guys. You're like, it might be like his no-brainer is like the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? Or is it the west? Well, either which way, you guys know what I'm saying there. Here's what I will say. For some of you guys that don't know about the whole fuel system, and like John just talked about, from going from the refinery to actually into your equipment to be burned up and used, in your motors. I'll give you a really good, for instance, Rob has the residential snowblower in the back of his truck. And, we're snow blowing, and it's, maybe February or maybe first part of March, but probably February timeframe. And we didn't really get that much snow this year, like after late February, which was interesting. So we had no revenue in March, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very little, maybe some extra snow invoices that came through. And so we had a 2-stroke gas can. We have like the little Sure can, 2.5 gallon cans that all of you guys have as well, right? By the way, if you need a gas can, I think our Brian Sen code still works at Sure can. It might save you guys a few bucks there, because they are a little bit more expensive. But that being said, Rob had just straight gas in the 2-stroke. In the 2.5 gallon gas can, right? Which is normally our mixed gas can. But for the snowblowers, we're using straight fuel, right? It's a little kind of confusing, but you don't need to be, hauling around a 5-gallon gas can in the winter. Your snowblowers kind of sip fuel, right? Well, interesting thing, we didn't have any snow from the mid to late part of February. So that gas can that Rob had in his truck bed sat all through the last part of February, all through March, and then we finally got out there to do some spring cleanups the first part of April. And I remember there was still like, a gallon and a half in there. So we filled up, long story short, we filled up 2 of our Red Max leaf blowers, and they were just sputtering like crazy. We could not get them up to speed. We could not get them full throttle. It took forever for them to quote unquote warm up. And I'm like, well, maybe and these are brand new. These are like a year, maybe 2 years old, because I had, we lost one, and then another one had a piece of plastic from the air filter break off, John, and it went in the cylinder housing, I guess. And 2 million times a minute, that engine is firing that piston. So it shredded the inside of the cylinder house. So that was catastrophic, as there's I think the word Brad used. So anyway, we lost one from a mulch job, and then we had one basically get shredded. So I was out $1,100. And well, Brian, don't you get a bunch of free equipment? Dude, I get a mower once in a while or something once in a while, but we're still shelling out for our own equipment for all the non-believers. So $1,200 later, which was so stupid for just rookie mistakes. But anyway, so these things were brand new, and the fuel was not. It was already breaking down, like you were talking about, John. It's because I took them up to Brad at Weingarts. I'm like, dude, these are less than a year old or whatever, or 6 months old or a couple months old or whatever they were, and they're just not firing. And he took them. They dumped all the fuel out, which I guess is like their idiot checklist. Is the throttle being pulled? Is like just like the simple stuff, right? Like, and he just calls me back like 2 hours later. He goes, "Hey, they're running perfect." He goes, "We just put in fresh fuel." And I'm like, "What? That's all it was?" And so, rookie mistake, we didn't add a little cap or a little 1 ounce or whatever of stable to that gas can to stabilize the fuel. And to John's credit, it wasn't but 30 days, maybe 6 weeks later, that was bad gas. And so imagine some of you guys have aerators or maybe stand-on leaf blowers, pick your brand, and you haven't ran them for 6 months to a year since the last time you pulled them out of the shed, right? That's where they don't start, and they're just you're full choke, and it's just turning over, and nothing's firing, and that fuel is probably bad gas. The water separated; it's like at the bottom of the tank, so it gets sucked up first. And that's where you get all these issues with starting up your equipment. Is that kind of what you guys are seeing out there from Stable, John?
Yeah. So people, like you said, put something away, kind of forget about it, and then the next time they need it, it's running rough, doesn't start. That's a good indicator that the fuel went bad. The probably have some carburetor issues. So with that, we always recommend start your engines or fast fix. So you can use one of those products to help get that engine back up and running. And then when you put that fresh fuel in, make sure it's treated. If it still doesn't start, then you probably got to take it somewhere. Or if you know how to take apart the engine, you could take it apart and make sure everything's cleaned out. Because obviously there's either a fuel problem, could be a spark plug issue or an air intake issue. So kind of a few things you can do to try to get that pieces of equipment back running up. So
there you go. Yeah, my go-to is always try it for fresh gas, and then number 2, a little bit of starter fluid in the air intake, which is so not probably good for the equipment. But there's many a times where I'm just ripping the air filter off, especially my stand-on aerator. It's getting a little older. Very, very intermittent use, right? And I'll just flash that air intake with some starter fluid that we got at our local Speedway gas station, and that thing, man, it roars up like a top fuel dragster, and it does the trick, man. But I'm like, that's probably not good for the internals and all this other mess. But you know what? We got aerations to do, right? So, I'm sure somebody out there has got the perfectly tuned equipment. But you know what? Sometimes got to do what you got to do at 7:30 in the morning to get this stuff moving and get that schedule and production done. So, I love it. Hey, let me ask you really quick. It's been a running kind of meme or joke with the kids that I'm doing this tour with. I have them all unpackaged the swag bag, and they're all really excited, really thankful, and they know, 80, 90% of the products in the swag bag. It's kind of one of everything that you threw my way for these guys. But then the Fast Fix, it's like a little green bottle, or all the kids are like, what? And I call them kids, but they're 16, 17, 18. They're like, what does this do? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never seen that product. So that's a new one to me. What is Fast Fix, and why should somebody have a bottle or two on their shelf, John?
Yeah, so that one is new in the last, I would say, couple of years. Basically, like we just talked about, if you forgot to use Stable and you got a piece of equipment and it's starting, but it's kind of running rough, this is a product you just pour directly into the fuel tank, and it will help eat away the gum and varnish.
Okay.
So it's just a quick, easy way. Like you said, time is everything. So, dump that in, let it run 5-10 minutes, and it should clear out that fuel system. One bottle of an 8-ounce fast fix will treat 20 gallons, so 1 ounce per 2.5 gallons. So yeah, just keep one of those on hand when you might come into a pinch and you need something to run a little better, so you can keep continuing to complete those jobs.
Okay, so add a little ounce to a 2.5 gallon tank. Most of our equipment is 8-gallon tanks, 12-gallon tanks. So little splash, technical term, right? Little thrower down action, like Alan Hain talks about. That's the scientific term, just so you guys know, if you're trying to get your measurements right. But so a little splash in there, and hopefully, fix those rough running engines, or at least get them to fire up. Okay, cool, fair enough.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with any of the products too, if you use a little more, it's not going to do any harm. So you don't have to be exactly precise and have to worry. If you go over an extra ounce or so, it's not going to do any harm. So nothing to worry about.
So you're saying for any of those, the red ones that have like that extra little like tube that's on the side, you have to like press them and squeeze them, to get that ounce, and then you dump it in. I'm like, I don't know. I just like wrench that thing and then get like 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces and call it a day. But that's, maybe that's why my equipment doesn't start in the spring, John. No, I'm just kidding. It's oh, and you guys are probably laughing because you do the same stuff. You're like tomato, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, call it a day. I got work to do. John, let me ask you this, man. You maybe shifting gears a little bit here, and we'll probably wrap this thing up, man. I really appreciate your time, but talk to me a little bit about where STA-BIL is. I mean, and I don't just mean like in the retail stores, but you guys are involved in a lot of different like you said, categories from boat racing, I think, and I know car racing. You're a car nut. Where are you guys at as a company with STA-BIL? What do you guys get behind or sponsor, support? Where can people find you if they ever see you guys at the races or a booth or a trailer or something like that? What are you guys always involved in?
Yeah, so we for the past couple of years we've been a part of the Mecum Car Auctions, which is on Motor Trend. So if you're in the classic cars, they do have modern cars as well. They pretty much have an event once every couple of weeks around the country. So we do that. We also sponsor an event called Grid Life, which it is a racing event. So people come out with everyday drivers and they'll be racing against each other with different classes. If something breaks, they literally go to their pit and start fixing it. I've seen people literally rip out an entire engine, the whole transmission, and in a couple hours, they put it all back together once it's fixed, and then they're on the track again.
Wow.
They'll also do drifting there, which is pretty neat to see. And then some of the events, there's actually one in South Haven, Michigan that we were just at. It's a music festival, so they bring in different rappers, EDM people, big artists that come in. So you're racing all day, hanging out with your friends, and then they got the music concert, and then you're camping and hanging out. So it's a really good weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say that's awesome because I do see you guys all around all the time on your Instagram. I'm watching on social, and I know you're there because you're, like you said, you run the social accounts, and it's really cool to see, like, you guys involved in more things. It's not just lawnmowers or just boating, like you said. Great product that's involved in many different industries. Actually, I was just thinking about this topic out loud. When you said different rappers and stuff that come to you guys' events, I thought it was Paul Jameson, Big Papa P, I think was his rap name. I heard I heard recently on a podcast episode, and I said Paul Jameson had a rap name. He's big, like Papa Paul P or something like that. So I don't know with that whole life. That's a new one that he let out of the bag. So we'll have to investigate further. But who knew the white boy from Akron had a rapper name? But then again, I think we all did back when we were 17, 18, 19. So anyway, because mine was BZ for Sheezy. So. But any which way, it's a wild journey that it's so surprising we've all made it this far. Well, John, here's what I'll say, man. Anything that you want to maybe share with these guys as we kind of button this thing up? Any latest and greatest, or anything that you want to leave these guys from the STA-BIL side of things? But if not, we'll kind of wrap things up, man. And we really appreciate you taking time to be on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. If you guys ever have any questions or if you want to tag us, anything we can do to help you. We love resharing, seeing what you guys are up to. If you need help finding things, just reach out to us or have a quick question. I am the one that will be answering it, and I try to respond as soon as I can, because I know some people come into a pinch and it's like, hey, I got this problem, I need to figure it out. But yeah, I'm more than happy to help. But yeah, STA-BIL, it's been around since 1958, family-owned company. There's no off season with us, so we love working nonstop, and seeing us. Excited to see you guys, what you're doing throughout the year. So thanks for having me on today's show.
Yeah, you bet, brother. I think I hear the pooch in the background, man. So we'll my wife just got home a minute ago, and anytime we do these podcasts, it's always real life, So my dog 2 seconds ago was barking at the door, and I'm like, hey, we're trying to do a business podcast here, young man, and but he wants to see mom. I can't blame him, So all right, well, cool deal, man. Well, we really appreciate you for sure taking time to be on the show. Thank you sincerely. Like, I know we have a lot of different sponsors and companies we get to work with. We're blessed to work with, but you guys came and you were one of the first ones to say yes to the summer tour. And like you said, these kids are the future of what our industry is doing. And I'm really, really excited to have you guys partnered up with us to bring this great content. So if you guys haven't and listen to the Monday episodes with the different teens that we've had on the tour. All these young guys are crushing it. Check out their equipment setup and their business setup, video that we've done, the correlating video, if you will, on YouTube. It's awesome seeing these guys just having the confidence that they do, the business they do. They're all crushing it out there. So we really appreciate Equip and Echo, and of course STA-BIL for helping us sponsor this tour to bring you guys this great content. We couldn't do it without them. Things cost money, and production costs, and driving around, like I said. So that's awesome, man. All right, well, that's all I got today. We really appreciate you joining in, John. And guys, next time you're at an event somewhere around town and you happen to see the STA-BIL folks, or whether it's at Equip or GIE, back in the day, or anywhere in the future, make sure you guys, reach out to them. Say, hey, I heard of you on Brian's show, and I always say, pick up a bottle for you, and then pick up a bottle for a friend. Next time you guys go to your local auto parts store, your AutoZones, your Murray's, your independent places, wherever, Home Depot, Walmart, wherever this stuff is, right? Make sure you guys pick up an extra bottle for you, and give one out to you, give one out to your subcontractors. They're $10. Pick up a bottle or two, and let them know that you guys really appreciate them. Tag them on social. So, all right, guys. Well, we will button up right here. Thanks again for listening to this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, cleaning products, snow removal tools, and so much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Be sure to check out the Ballard-Inc.com website to help dominate and elevate your business this season. With over 20 years selling accessories and 30 years in the business, they're sure they've got something you can't live without. Corey also said to tell you they appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season, and to stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And oh yeah, don't forget to use Brian's 10 at checkout to save 10%. Here's Brian Fullerton talking about one of the benefits of purchasing the postcard designs from L'Entrepreneur-Academy.com.
Hey, I don't want you guys to have to spend 10 hours trying to get these things designed and all that back and forth, especially if it is during the busy season.
Your time is valuable, and so is your money.
If you buy 2,500, you get 500 extra cards for free. If you buy 5,000, you get an extra 1,000 for free. So that's some of Brian's discounted rates that you're getting.
That's Samantha Heald from Postcard Mania, who is Brian's preferred printer for these proven marketing pieces.
Buy the design from L'Entrepreneur Academy. Email up Samantha and her team. We have a direct link and contact info to reach out to them. And if you guys take that design, that PDF art file, Samantha and her team will make minor edits for
free. Yep, for free. We're doing it for free.
So if you want more customers and discounted pricing on printing, then the proven postcard designs and templates at L'Entrepreneur-Academy.com is the way to go.
Because of the fact that we print all of our own stuff in-house, there are certain tiers and quantities for us that it makes more sense where you guys are getting better price breaks.
Catch Brian's full interview with Samantha on episode 173 and crush your marketing efforts with 11 new postcard designs to go along with the 4 seasonal card designs from last year. L'Entrepreneur-Academy.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.